Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Unlock Speaking Confidence. My name is Maureen McCown from Soft Skills Success, and each week I share tips and techniques to help you improve your communication, presentation and public speaking skills so that you can unlock your speaking confidence. This week we are continuing on with our storytelling theme. Last week I had a look at why you should use stories in your pitches and presentations. Today we're going to take a look at some of the how you can do that, and I'm looking at that under three main areas, because essentially it boils down to telling the right story in the right way at the right time. So let's take each of those a turn. What do I mean by the right story? Well, not all stories are created equal, and sometimes I have clients who work with me and think that they can just tell a story and that it's immediately going to connect with people because everybody loves stories, don't they? But it has to be the right story. So some of the stories that you could consider using in a presentation could be your founder story. What was the reason for you setting up your business? It could be a customer story, and I mentioned those in the pitch last week. A customer story is a great way to show people who you help, how you help them, what way you work with them, what your whole process is, and what the results are for the client or that customer who's working with you, and focusing really on the emotion of that stress that they're feeling in advance, and then how they are so relieved at the end when they have achieved their goal or that they have got rid of whatever problem you have solved for them. So that's your second type of story, talking about your customer story. Maybe your story is delivering a message, and that's the main point that you want to get across, because stories are a great learning tool and teaching tool. So we can tell a story about somebody who did something the wrong way, and this is what happened, and don't you go making that mistake. So we're telling the story to teach the message. Story can be used for communicating numbers and data and something that can be quite difficult, abstract concepts for people to get across. So you're connecting with them through telling a story, relating it in a story. And finally, there is the who I am story, where you're telling a bit of information about yourself that's relevant, that is maybe talking about the type of values you have, the type of person that you have. It's woven into that story. So that's the first piece that I'm taking a look at today, telling the right story. Secondly, I'm taking a look at how to tell that story in the right way. Remember, I mentioned earlier that not all stories are created equal, and it's not just a matter of telling a story for the sake of telling a story. I've written a blog post on this, you can check it out, the 3 R's of storytelling. And basically I'm talking there about how your story needs to be relevant to the point that you're making. It needs to be relatable so that the audience can recognize themselves either in the characters or the situation that the characters are finding themselves in. And it needs to be remarkable. There needs to be something that makes that story stand out and be noticeable for some reason. What's the point of telling it otherwise? If nothing happens or no change has happened, then there's no story. So we've taken a look at telling the right story. We've taken a brief look at telling it in the right way. And the third point then is telling it at the right time. When do you tell your story? Well, last week I was talking specifically about your pitch. If it's your networking pitch, your elevator pitch, your story can be woven in as part of that 60 seconds to really highlight, demonstrate the work that you do. If it's a longer presentation, you've got far more time to be able to develop that story. So if it is relevant for you to tell a customer story, you can go into a lot more detail when it is as part of a presentation. But remember that you can also use storytelling in your social media. There was a storytelling workshop that I did before Christmas of this year, and a few days later I noticed that one of the participants on the workshop had put a post up on LinkedIn, and he later messaged me to thank me, to say that the storytelling techniques that he had used, the story was a great story, he had over 3 million views on his LinkedIn post. Telling the right story in the right way at the right time can really bring rewards, can bring those benefits. So think about it. Don't just tell a story for the sake of it. Think about what the purpose is. Ask yourself in advance, why am I telling this story? And one of the tips that I would suggest is that you create a bank of stories, whether you have it on a notes app on your phone or you literally have a physical notebook that you take note in. But different events that happen, it could be an idea that comes to you from a story of when you're out for a walk with the dog. I got lots of inspiration for different stories and posts when I was out walking our dog. It could be something that has happened to you on the way into the office, something that happened, and it just creates a story that you're going to be able to use in some format. Maybe it's something you saw on TV, it's something you read in a book, but different ideas that will come to you about stories, take note of them, because that will also help you when it comes to the more impromptu side of speaking, which is what my topic is going to be in next week's episode. So I do hope that you'll join me then. My name is Maureen McCown from Soft Skill Success, and this has been episode 8 of Unlock Speaking Confidence.